Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the proclamation. Well, it says we should be doing the session minutes first. Okay. So we'll just follow the procedure roadmap that Judy laid out for us.
Okay.
If I don't, I'll hear about it later. Okay, we're going to begin, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the regular session of the 15th of November 2017. I think we all got a copy of these.
I had two
last
Corrections.
Friday?
They've been made, so.
And I have a few corrections also, and they are in the process of being made. Part of it is just the commentary in and as it relates to the petition for annexation.
Okay, so do we have minutes that we can approve? Or
Yes.
should we wait until?
No, you just go ahead and approve them.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the minutes of 11:15.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. And got a proclamation.
Howard, do you want to, I brought some company with me.
All right.
Others to receive it, huh?
Yep.
Brought Ralph Shepard from New Richmond.
Hello, Ralph.
Bob Durr.
How many people from New Richmond are we allowed in here?
Ed,
He brought his wife,
how
too.
you doing?
I'm good.
My wife.
Oh,
Right here between you.
Okay.
You're the driver, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a proclamation for the Pearl Harbor Remembrance Week here in Clermont County. Whereas on December 7th, 1941, fighters and bombers appeared above the skies of southern Oahu and without warning commenced to attack the United States Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. Caught by surprise, the brave individuals stationed there, which include a number of persons from Clermont County, rushed into action to defend their ships, planes, and comrades, base, and ultimately their nation. The devastating aerial assault lasted 2 hours, killing 2,400 Americans and injuring many others. Whereas today we remember with grateful hearts those who fought and those who died in that terrible Sunday morning. Their courageous sacrifices saved lives, and the stories of their unparalleled heroism galvanized our nation. And whereas as Americans who enjoy the blessings of living in a free nation today, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to the brave men and women who defended our nation on that day in 1941. We are grateful for all who have answered duty's call in defense of our nation. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby declare the week of December 3rd through December 9th of 2017 as Pearl Harbor Remembrance Week. And further, on December 7th, 2017, shall be declared Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day in Clermont County, Ohio, and in conjunction with the declaration issued by Governor Kasich, all flags on all government buildings in Clermont County shall be flown at half-staff from sunrise to sunset. We invite all citizens to join us in tribute to those who defended our nation on that fateful morning by joining us on Sunday, December 3rd, 2017 at 2 p.m. at the New Richmond Middle School located at 1135 Bethel, New Richmond Road, where we will honor the memory of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And it's signed by myself, Commissioner Humphrey, and Commissioner Painter. Ralph,
Thank you, Mr.
thank you for
Ubel.
your service and
Thank you.
coming out again.
I'd like to say a few words. This program has been going on since 1987. Mr. Ron Hartman past commander of the American Legion, will be doing all the announcing and so forth this day. He is the last of the living veterans and the mayor of New Richmond that formed this program in 1987. And it's a wonderful program. I invite all of you over that day. But I'd like to say another word or two. You know, we're in the 100th anniversary of World War I. Don't forget those men. I wear this Marine emblem in honor of my father-in-law, Mr. Bailey Ginn. He was hit by gas by the Germans in World War I, and his life was cut very short. My wife back there wears a necklace, a little Marine emblem on it. He bought it in Hoboken, New Jersey, before he shipped over for World War I. Now, we're one of the fortunate villages in Clermont County that have a World War I monument. It's right down on the riverbank. I'll give you a little history of that. It's been moved 3 times. First, it was on the steps of New Richmond High School on Market Street, which my wife graduated from. Then we moved it over in front of the White Gym. Then we moved it down on the riverbank under our big arch now. And in 1922, President Warren G. Harding made the trip upriver to Grant's birthplace. On his way back, he stopped in New Richmond and dedicated that monument. And we're very proud of having a World War I monument on our riverbanks. God bless you, people. Don't forget Pearl Harbor. Now that'll happen on the 7th. There'll be a whole celebration. Like Mr. Yubel just said, there will be flags at half-mast all day, all over. God bless you for being here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
You gonna take this, Victor?
I'll take it and then I'll see you later.
Take a picture.
Howard, do you have anything more to add to that? I mean,
I
that's
just would
tough
like
to
to
follow.
say I'm proud to have Robert Durr, our commission president, and Tom Cooper. Also, he's an American Legion member, and that accompany me. And if you could all please come out to New Richmond High School this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Let's get a picture up here.
Let's do a picture. Come on.
Get up there, Ralph.
There you go, Ralph.
I've known this man since he was a little boy.
Middle school, he said high school.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, next we'll have a presentation, the Clermont County Developmental Disabilities Renewal Levy. And good morning, or good afternoon. Good morning.
Morning.
Started the day early today. It could be afternoon, I don't know.
All right, we'll
Well, good morning. I'm Dan Otke. I'm the superintendent with the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and I appreciate the opportunity to just make a brief presentation this morning. That was a hard act to follow, so I'll try to do my very, very best. So, again, thank you. This has been an exciting year for us at the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities. It has been our 50th anniversary. It's been a year of celebration, a year of kind of looking back on the history of kind of what we've done for those 50 years for folks with developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities in our county. It's been awesome for me because I've had the opportunity to get to meet a number of individuals, families, and former staff. And just to hear some of the stories, we've had a couple celebrations, which again we're appreciative to the commissioners because they have proclamation back in August at our picnic. That was very nice of them, recognizing our 50th anniversary and doing that. So but it's been really awesome to hear the stories and how these services have touched the lives of people with developmental disabilities throughout those years. So before I jump right in, I do want to recognize a couple folks. We have Rex Parsons with us today. So he is a board member. He is actually leaving our board at the end of the year. We're going to miss him terribly. He's a former board president. Appreciative to have him here today with us. And then David Sininger, who's our business operations director. Good to have him here as well. So as we kind of turn the page from 2017 and we look into 2018, year 51 and beyond, a big piece of that puzzle is a renewal levy for our 5-year operating levy, which is set to expire at the end of 2018. So I have a few slides to kind of just talk about the importance of that and obviously answer any questions that you might have related to that. So I'll go ahead and jump into it here. This is a pretty busy slide here, but this is a reflection of the current status of our levies. So we have 3 continuing levies and 1 5-year operating levy. So as you can see here, if you go down to the third line there, in 2003 the 5-year operating levy was originally passed and it's been renewed, and the last time it was renewed was November 5th of 2013. And to draw your attention over to the far right of the page, without that renewal, that's about almost $3 million, which would be off the books in terms of our budget. So it's a pretty significant chunk in terms of what affords us to be able to provide the services and to be able to work with the individuals that we serve and their families. So I'm going to go ahead and get this to move to the next one here. There it goes. So this is just a slide that shows our forecast. So David puts these together for us, kind of projecting in terms of revenue, expenses, fund balance. It's kind of a simple slide here, but what this shows is, in terms of this is the forecast with the renewal. So as you can see, revenues exceed expenses for a good period of time up until about 2020, and that's traditionally that's a traditional kind of levy cycle. That's traditionally kind of the way it works, because at some point those, because of just inflationary purposes, services delivered, that kind of thing, that's kind of a traditional forecast. So as you can see with the renewal, projecting through the rest of this decade and into the next, it's positive for us to be able to still continue to provide the services that we have been continuing and to responsibly address waiting lists, which we do experience from time to time. So. This next slide just is kind of paints the picture in relation to the forecast without the renewal. So without that, you can see at the end of 2018 going into 2019, that's about $3 million that comes out of that revenue stream, which then has a pretty significant impact in terms of our fund balance. And then ultimately, you can read, if you read the lines there, that means a very significant change in terms of what we're able to do, able to offer for the people that we're serving. It would require significant changes. Certainly, we wouldn't let this happen. We would, but it would mean very significant changes in terms of the business that we're doing. This slide just kind of reflects a little bit about what we do at the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Offer early intervention and school-age services. Our early intervention services are from birth to age 3. Our goal with that is to ensure the fact that we're doing our best to try and reach children and families as early as we possibly can to hopefully be able to address any needs they might have. So maybe for the long term, they might need fewer supports down the line kind of thing. So we have a number of, we have service coordinators that work with families at a very early age, sometimes from the very moment they leave the hospital until the point that they are age 3. And we have therapists that also work with the families as well to provide those services. School age services, we have a small school age program that we partner with our school districts at the Wildey Center. And those are for the most intensive needs children in our community. Many of them have very significant medical needs or significant behavioral needs that require more significant services. So we provide those services in partnership with our school districts. And then as we go down the list here, you see full-time residential and day support. So we obviously work with, we don't directly provide those services, but we partner with providers in our community to provide those residential and day supports for people with developmental disabilities. Many of those folks require 24/7 supports because of their needs, but some, as the next bullet point shows, just need required drop-in supports in their home. So what we try to do throughout is our whole goal, because we have what we would refer to as service and support administrators, but traditionally you might refer to as a case manager, is working really to try and develop plans to support those individuals to become as independent as they possibly can be. And so when we talk about maybe in a drop-in support situation, it might just mean they need some help with their medication or they need some help to make sure they got their groceries, but doesn't mean they need somebody with them all the time kind of thing. But those are services that are needed in the community as well. Vocational and day supports, our goal is to help serve individuals in the least restrictive environments as possible. So our goal is to help individuals to first and foremost work. So we talk about employment first a lot in our organization, employment first for individuals with developmental disabilities, and we do provide supports for those folks to both find a job and receive job coaching to help keep that job. But if maybe they're further back on that path to employment, we have day services and supports that we both directly provide, but also work with private providers in our community to provide. And then as we just go down the list, I'll kind of run through some of these pretty quickly here. Respite and assistance with summer care, adaptive equipment. There just are instances where families just certainly need a break. They need some help to, because traditional babysitting services, sometimes I just talked with a mom last night who, this is a real struggle for her. She has a child with autism. Your traditional babysitter is going to struggle to be able to provide those services, and so the key is to be able to provide those more specialized services so that mom gets a little bit of a break to be able to get just some of the needed things she's got to get done. And then obviously summer care comes into play. We have camps and various things that kids with disabilities experience. Obviously, as you can imagine, we have a lot of instances where folks have needs related to adaptive equipment, accessibility needs, and so we're there to try and help with that where we can. If we have to partner or do things with that, we help to address those as well. I already talked about community employment services, emergencies. This is a big one for us. So in instances, we have a high-risk team. We also talk a lot about situations where we learn about instances where a person with a developmental disability, an intellectual disability, is in an emergency situation. It could be something as difficult as a parent passes away. They were living with the parent. There's no one to pick that need up. Well, we're there in those instances to try and to address that. And in the next slide I'll get to it, we're going to be I'll talk a little bit about trends. This is a trend we're keeping a very close eye on because the baby boomer generation is getting older. Obviously, they're getting to a place. We have a lot of folks that have been caring for their loved one for all those years. We're trying to keep a close eye on what that's going to mean in terms of potential services that we might need to jump in and provide, because if there's not another family member to do that and that individual needs that care, there's going to be a need there. So that's something we keep a very close eye on. Behavior support. This is a trend we're seeing also, just lots of need, especially with teens. So a lot of teens in situations with families They just need some helping hand on maybe some extra supports on what it's going to mean to help them through a difficult time. This is something new for us. We've kind of dabbled in this a little bit because what we do see instances in which we have individuals with intellectual disabilities, but they also may have a co-occurring mental health diagnosis. And so one of the things that we're working on a little bit, because it's fairly unique to provide therapy services for a person with an intellectual disability, but also a mental health need. So we've kind of dabbled a little bit in that to try and provide some supports where we can on a small scale. And the last thing, which is a mandated thing, we also are responsible for investigating anything that is abuse, neglect, anything related to misappropriation. So this is something that we, in instances where a person with a developmental disability in our county is being mistreated, we have investigators that actually will go out, investigate that situation, and address that, and that is a mandated service that we provide. We also obviously work with the local police if it's a matter requiring their involvement as well. Quickly here, just some trends. We have seen since 2009 a significant increase in the number of intake requests, almost 50% from 2014 to 2017, which is pretty dramatic. I think it has a lot to do with this. I think Clermont is being that it's a kind of attached with a larger urban environment like Cincinnati. Certainly, it's a county where we're seeing more folks move into the county, and we're just part of that trend in terms of that means more kids or more adults that might need services. Obviously, I mentioned this already, the aging caregiver population, something that we're just keeping close tabs on because that could be a tsunami if we're not careful. We want to make sure we're keeping an eye on that as well. Again, I talked about this already, the number of individuals, especially teens, we're finding in high-risk situations that are involving that we engage just to try and assist. And we work closely with Children's Services on that as well, in partnership to make sure that we're working on that. And these probably won't come as a huge shock, but better medical technology is preserving the lives and longevity of children and adults with developmental disabilities, which is a very, very good thing. So it's just a matter of it requires, what we're going to do to be there for them. Upward trend with individuals with an autism diagnosis. That is, it's at now 1 in every 68, I believe, is the number of children. This one came as a bit of a shocker to us last year. Our early intervention services program in the opioid crisis. We have seen a significant increase in terms of kids that have been impacted by being born addicted, and that actually that's a situation in which our early intervention team is involved with, because that does involve some developmental delays, and so that's new for our early intervention team, very new, and it's something that we're keeping a close eye on as well, because it is that, talk about tsunamis, that's a tsunami, and it's certainly a situation. And what oftentimes is happening is, if it's a grandparent picking up the need for that child, then they need a lot of help just understanding from our early intervention specialists what kinds of things they can do to help that child develop well. So, and then finally, which is kind of similar to a lot of local government type of things, but we also tangible personal property, some things of that sort, some subsidies that have been reduced over the past 5 to 10 years that have hit our budget, just like a lot of local governments have been hit like that as well. So just kind of some of the trends there. Before I close, I do want to just talk a moment, in addition to the request for the renewal, our board has really felt and has advocated for the consideration of making the renewal operating levy a continuous levy. And this is kind of the request is this kind of paints the picture for that in relation to services across the lifespan. There are, in fact, this year has been a great indicator of that. I've met so many individuals receive services at a very early age through our school age program, transition through school into the adult realm. Now they're in their 50s. We're still involved with them. So it's fairly unique, and we see this across the board. It's typically not usual that we wouldn't have some connection with folks throughout their lifespan because just of the specific need. So our board was respectfully requesting and just consideration of looking at this 5-year operating levy and potentially making it a continuous levy. And so this kind of paints that picture in terms of that. So
Dan, just so everybody understands, the operating levy is a 5-year.
Yes.
Or a continuous levy. There's no sunset clauses. It goes forever, correct?
the continuous, yes, correct. It is.
This is continuous.
Continuous is continuous, yeah. So, and I think one of the things that I would want to speak for our board about is understanding and recognizing the challenge of being, we want to be good stewards and accountable, and that's part of the 5-year operating levy discussion. Whereas I think also looking at when they're looking at the stories that they hear, the things that they see, this particular slide, advocating for the individuals and families that we serve, does it make sense to continue, to look at it being a continuous? So.
Well, this levy started in 2003 and it's been updated every 5 years. So it seems like by the vote of the people, it's a continuous levy. And if we made it continuous, it would be by a vote of the people because it would simply be ballot language that would change to make it continuous. So I see the fact that inflation doesn't keep up with expenses. Your expenses continue to go up, but your income does not go up because of a House bill that was passed in the 60s maybe when we had extreme inflation. And they said we can't allow levies to grow like that. Unfortunately, they made the increase 0% that it is allowed to increase. They didn't put a cap on it, which might have been a brighter thing to do, but they made it 0%. And since this thing's been going on since 2003 and been voted appropriately by the voters, I don't see a need to make it a 5-year levy. I think it should be continuous. The cost of running the levy every 5 years and the effort that goes into it is substantial. And I think I don't see the need going away, and so I think this should be a continuous levy. That's just one guy's opinion.
I appreciate it, yeah, and that is, I think, how our board was looking at it as well. Also, again, respecting the fact of the accountability component, which is important. So we want to be respectful of that obviously. So,
and since that's been discussed, it would be unfair not to make a comment. Although I support all the activities that you do, I am one of those people that a continuous levy would not be a consideration for me. I would rather that it be placed in front of the voters every 5 years. Mm-hmm. So, I just want to make sure if we've discussed it, I've made that comment, and that's just my opinion.
Sure, and we're very respectful. And I know I can speak for our board. That is certainly
each have an opinion, and we're allowed to have those.
Sure.
That's fine.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you've heard from two of us. Do you want to hear third guy? You weigh in, and then we know.
Dan, finish your presentation.
Okay, I will do that. This is my final slide. So this is just the summary here. So our board resolved to request of the commissioners that the 0.75 mil 5-year operating levy originally passed in 2003 be put before the voters for renewal on next May's primary election. Additionally, our board has asked for consideration to make the levy continuous. By doing so, it is projected that this will provide the needed resources to allow for continued services and to responsibly address waiting lists through this decade heading into the next. For the $100,000 valuation homeowner, the cost of the levy is about $23 per year. This renewal would not result in any increased cost to the taxpayer. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dan, on the continuous, I think what Mr. Humphrey said was that the way it is now with an operating levy, it's a fixed amount. With a continuous, does it increase with inflation, or how does that go?
No, it does not. So essentially, all it is just
one does.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
it's,
really, even if you do the continuous in 15 years with inflation, you're going to ask for more on top of the continuous to account for inflation.
yeah, because it like Commissioner Humphrey said, it doesn't increase with any. It's just it's more of a time thing than it is a financial.
Inflation continues on, and the income does not rise with inflation. It's held to the dollars that it received when it was voted, so.
Right, it's kept at a floor.
It's
Is that
kept
what
at
you're
a floor, and it's at currently the 2003 floor.
Right.
So, and if it was a continuous levy, it would continue to be at the 2003 floor,
Correct.
so.
Well, I wanted to thank Rex Parson for being on the board. It's great to have outstanding, dedicated board members, and thanks for your time, Rex, for doing that. Yeah. Dan, do you have other board seats you still need to fill, or how?
There'll be a motion later on in the yes, so we do.
Non-consent.
Yeah, so we do have 3 that will be before you for approval.
We're always looking for new, good board members that can dedicate the time.
Well, you know, it'll be very challenging. We are, along with Mr. Parsons, we are losing Lori Benintendi, who's term limited 12 years, Mr. Harry Snyder, who is term limited, and Mr. Greg Carson, who is our current board president. So it is a pretty significant loss for us, but we are very excited about the new members that will be announced, in our agenda later on. So it'll be some turnover, but we're excited to meet them. So.
The work that your team does, I mean, that is challenging, special work, special care, and it's exceptional. I've visited the facility enough and been around those folks to know that their dedication is excellent.
Well, and we can't thank
Quite a
you.
dedicated team.
Yeah, we're I can't be I'm lucky. I feel very blessed to do what I do for the years I've been doing it. So I work with a very good team, and I appreciate the support that has been not only from this board but also from citizens in general. We hear just all the time, and we see. The last thing I'll say is, we talk about 50 years, how, just a mom last night talked to me. She was in a restaurant about a month ago. She has a kid with autism. The kid was having a difficult moment, and some of the folks in the restaurant said, can you just, the restaurant owner said, no, if you don't like it, then you don't have, and 50 years ago, that would have been unheard of. So, I think we've just come, it is amazing to see, kind of where we've come, but still got a long way to go, and we'll keep working on it, so.
Are there any opportunities for volunteers that would like to get involved?
There are, yes, and Lisa Davis, who is our public relations representative, if you ever want to volunteer, she is our volunteer coordinator as well. So, and we do look for those opportunities as well. So.
How about upcoming fundraisers or anything that you'd like to tell?
Yeah, well, we don't have anything on the books right now, although we're going to probably in 2018. And if you'd like to join us, we're going to have our Lip Sync Battle 3, I think, which has been a lot of fun. So I don't see you jumping up and down for that, so I won't call you. But it is something that we do have coming up in 2018. So we're going to set some dates for that, and it's been a lot of fun for the community. So
I usually like to stand in the back with
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you. I did it once, and that's the last time. So.
Some good talent, though.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So.
Well, Dan, thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, we have the consent agenda in front of us, which we were provided early last week because of the holiday. And we've had a chance.
Actually, yes.
We've had a chance to review it. And if there are no exceptions, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda from November 29th, 2017, as shown.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. And turning over to page 12, we have our non-consent agenda, and beginning with item 29, Resolution 175-17 to pay our bills in the amount of $2,615,804.71. Can we get a motion? Resolution 175-17.
That's a high number because of the 2-week span since we've done it last. I make a motion to approve Resolution 175-17.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Brian's gonna, oh, morning.
I'm Brian Christ, Systems Analyst Supervisor for the Information Systems Department. Recommendation of Brandon V. Hepner, Director, Information Systems Department at the Telecommunications Division, with the concurrence of Joseph A. Palmer, Jail Administrator, on behalf of Clermont County Sheriff Robert S. Leahy and Thomas J. Eigel, Interim County Administrator, to reject all bids heretofore received on 7/20/2017 and subsequently extended for further review and disposition thereof on 9/13/2017 and 10/25/2017 for an inmate phone system for the Clermont County Jail pursuant to Section 30791 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Brian, can you briefly explain why we're going to reject these bids that we've received?
They didn't meet the requirements, so they're going to do a rewrite and then put it back out for bid.
Okay.
So there will be a rebid.
Yes, there will.
I make a motion that we reject all
In-
bids.
yes.
And in item 30.
Excuse me, in the form of a proposal, yes.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Yep. Carl? Welcome.
Morning.
Item number 31 is a recommendation of myself, Carl Lamping, Chief Building Official for Clermont County Building Inspection Department, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Interim County Administrator, to adopt resolution number 176-17, resolving to adopt the revised Clermont County Water Management and Sediment Control Regulations for the County of Clermont, Ohio, effective 31 days from the adoption thereof, pursuant and in compliance with Section 307.79 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Okay. We've had several meetings on this, so that's fine, but otherwise I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 176-17 as referenced in item 31.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Thank you
So
very
my
much.
understanding is this will come up again in about a year with Mr.
Full review.
Painter's concerns about taking the,
Staff is going to look at this and look at ideas and ways to address the issues raised during public comment, yes.
okay, very good, thank you.
Again, Carl, thanks for the committee and all the time and meetings that they put together to review and come up with this, so,
Right.
yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Just to clarify for that minute, what the request is a total review, and to take a look at that particular document and to remove any additional requirements other than what is specifically required by code and by law.
Unless they make complete sense for Clermont County.
Correct. What we want to do is make it as easy as possible for them to comply.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is our recorder here today, or Suki, you gonna?
Anyone. I've got 32 then.
Okay.
32 is a recommendation of Deborah Klepper Hall with the concurrence of Thomas Eigel to execute an amendment to the contract for information technology products and services between the county and Conduit Enterprises Solution. They used to be ACS Enterprises. This is for the information technology products, software, and materials and services relative to the ACS landmark system and the web delivery services for the Clermont County Recorder's Office. This has previously been ratified by the board on September 19th of 2012 and amended on July 17th of 2013, which extended the amended agreement for a period of 1 year effective 9/19/17. This amendment will extend it from 9/19/17 through 9/18/18, and all other terms will stay the same.
Okay, can we get a motion then to execute an amendment to contract for information technology products and services between the county and Conduit Enterprise Solutions as referenced in 32?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Item 33,
33, I don't
nobody from the
see the engineer
engineer's
here.
office.
I will do these also. Item 33 is a record plat number 629-3018, and this will replat lot number 60 within the Jerlee subdivision in Miami Township.
Okay, can we get a motion then to execute record plat number 629-3018 as referenced in 33?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Ubel.
Yes.
And item 34 is also a replat. This is plat number 629-3019. This is replatting lot numbers 3, 4, 15, 16, and 17 in the Ray Sigmund First subdivision in Miami Township.
Can we get a motion then to execute record plat number 629-3019 as referenced in 34?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Ubel.
Yes. Item
And
35.
the third replat is for plat number 629-3020. This will replat lots number 59 and 78 in the Mills of Miami subdivision, section 1 in Miami Township.
We get a motion then to execute record plat 629-3020 as referenced in item 35.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Ubel.
Yes. 36.
Item 36 is a request to authorize David Ubel, President of the Board, to execute the satisfaction of mortgage, certifying the terms of the mortgage and the promissory notes they secured as dated and having been satisfied, and authorize the recorder to release the mortgage of record for the property on 1405 State Route 222 in Bethel. This was related to the septic system rehab financing program and in concert with the Ohio Development Services Agency Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program.
We get a motion then to execute a satisfaction of mortgage and authorizing the recorder to release the said mortgage of record for the couple as referenced in the table in item 36.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Ubel.
Yes. 37.
Item 37 is a recommendation of Dan Otke, Superintendent of the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and this is to appoint 3 individuals to serve on the County Board of Developmental Disabilities, each with a full 4-year term. First, we have Dr. Kim Brady. Next, we have Mary Jane West, and thirdly, we have David Thaman. So these will all be effective starting January 1st, 2018.
We get a motion then to appoint the following individuals as referenced in the table in item 36 to the Board of Developmental Disabilities.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Ubel.
Yes, and again, thanks to Dr. Brady and Mary Jane West and David Thaman for agreeing to serve on the board. So, all right, Yvonne, you're up.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yvonne Smith, Benefit Plan Coordinator for Clermont County Employees. It is my recommendation, with the concurrence of Thomas Eigel, Interim County Administrator, to authorize David Ubel, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the service agreement by and between the County of Clermont and Bethesda Healthcare Incorporated, doing business as TriHealth EAP of Cincinnati, Ohio, for the provision of employee assistance program for all county employees and their eligible dependents at the rate of $1.19 per employee per month for an estimated annual total amount of $17,500 based upon the current number of eligible employees. This agreement is for the period of 1/1 of 2018 through 12/31 of 2018, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein and contingent upon the adoption of the annual appropriations for calendar year 2018 and the issuance of a purchase order, therefore.
For $1.19 per employee per month, what do they get for this employee assistance program?
The Employee Assistance Program is basically a counseling type of program. They offer a lot of different types of counseling. Employees can call and get help for children that have issues. If you have a child in school that's having problems with their schoolwork, you can call and you can receive up to 5 free visits, either on the telephone or in person. I believe they even have some internet counseling too that you can do. It's open to anybody who is an employee or their dependents, and the counseling services are 5 per issue, not per year. So if you had a child that had, or a family that had multiple issues, each member could have up to 5 free visits for that.
And when you're talking issues of stress in the family that could range
Yeah,
from
all-
children issues to addiction issues to.
Correct, everything, even workplace issues. If you're having problems adjusting to a new job, you can call and get counseling.
Is this something that an employee has to elect voluntarily?
No, it's automatic for all employees. It's not even just geared to full-time employees. It's for every employee we have.
But the employee must elect to take advantage of it.
Correct. The employee or the employer can actually initiate a visit for the employee if they see an employee struggling with something. They can.
So it can be supervisor.
Yes, initiated. Correct. It's a very good service, and we don't use it a whole lot. There's maybe a 4% utilization over the year, but when you consider that this program can save lives, and it has saved lives, it's a very good. Yeah.
And this is a renewal. We've had this many years. We renew this annually.
Yeah, this was a benefit that we've had for decades.
All right.
Good.
Yes, and all information that they receive is confidential. We get reporting back on the number of people who have used the service, but we don't receive anything that's personal or, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion then to execute the services agreement between Bethesda Healthcare and the county, doing business as Tri-Health EAP, with the contingencies as referenced in item 38.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Yule?
Yes, thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Bob?
Morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Morning.
Bob Sander, Human Resources. Item 39 is a recommendation with the concurrence of Tom Eigel, Interim County Administrator, to amend sections 3.07 and 3.08 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual by changing the term opiate to opioids to comply with the Department of Transportation Part 40 rule change. That's effective January 1st, 18. And by adding wording for dilute urine specimen sections in order to comply with the Federal Transit Authority regulations and triennial review, and to authorize the removal or updating of corresponding appendices and as more fully defined herein and listed below. We're amending those policies. We're removing some appendices no longer relevant and updating other appendices.
Okay. Great, thanks, Bob. I get a motion then to amend section 3.07 and 3.08 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual as referenced in item 39.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Yule?
Yes. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Suki, OMB, do you want to sit there or do you want to go up to the podium?
I'll sit here if it's all right. Item 40 is we have a couple financials this week. First, in the Felony Delinquent Care and Custody Fund for overtime, another $7,500. They actually are running an evening reporting program in juvenile probation, so they need the overtime to cover that for their probation officers. And then in the Sheriff Policing Revolving Fund, which is where we have the expenses for the contract sheriffs, we're increasing $10,000 in other expenses for the added maintenance on the vehicles this year. We had some that had more than normal maintenance levels.
Okay. We get a motion then for the supplemental appropriations as referenced in item 40.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Gaynor?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Judy, should we do the add-ons now or
Yes.
later?
Yes. Now,
Does it matter which order? I guess.
yes,
Andy's?
the operating agreement is first. Oh, there you are, Andy.
There I am.
I was looking for you.
Andy, good morning.
Judy, if you could take one and pass these down, please.
This item is a recommendation to accept the proposal submitted by and enter into an operating agreement with Clermont Care Animal Humane Society located at 1015 Seabrook Way, Cincinnati, Ohio, for the administration of the statutory requirements of Chapter 955 of the Ohio Revised Code relative to the housing, feeding, caring for, destroying, and disposing of unlicensed and stray dogs within Clermont County, Ohio. The operating agreement amount is $310,000, and the effective period is January 1st, 2018 through December 1st, 2018. The agreement includes an option for renewal for 2 additional one-year terms. This is contingent upon the board adopting annual appropriations for 2018 and the issuance of a purchase order. The handout that you received is one of the handouts that we received when their team came and did a presentation to the review panel that I think encapsulates the skill set of the board that is the leadership team for this group. You can see there's a lot of experience working with a variety of humane societies and shelters. And the back side of that page shows all the partnerships that they have, either financial commitment or commitments to partner with them to take animals, provide low or reduced or free services or reduced cost services. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process that we went through. The RFP was advertised September 23rd to the 25th in the Inquirer. Proposals were due October 20th. We received 2 proposals, one from this group and one from the current operator. A panel of county employees reviewed the proposals and conducted interviews with both responders. The panel of employees consisted of me, Adele Evans, and Kelly Perry. I would like to note Adele and Kelly were on the prior review panel in 2014, 2015, last time this was put out for bid, and they were part of that 4-person review panel that selected the current operator. We individually scored each proposer based on their proposals and supplemented by the presentations and answers to questions from the panel. Based on the score, I proceeded to negotiate the operating agreement with Clermont Animal Care. A few key items about Clermont Animal Care Humane Society. They have very strong support from the Animal Rescue Volunteer Network locally. 17 reference letters were included in their proposal, most of which were from local rescue agencies, with renewed commitments from some of these that had stopped working with the county over the past 2 to 5 years. And those new commitments to partner include the League for Animal Welfare, University of Cincinnati Blue Ash College, the Vet Tech program, UCAN, which is United Coalition for Animals, I believe is the largest low-cost or free spay-neuter organization in the Cincinnati area. Clermont Animal Care also has commitments for the following: over $100,000 in contributions from individual donors, a grant to fund the free spay-neuter of 50 pit bulls, and free or reduced cost services from UC Blue Ash Vet Tech program and the League for Animal Welfare. The organization has a goal of becoming the first county-affiliated no-kill open admission shelter in Ohio by the end of 2018. And that's a pretty big goal. The board of directors and advisory board members have extensive experience with rescue agencies and shelters. This includes the 23-year executive director of the Boone County Animal Shelter, which is on their advisory board, and she's listed on that page there, which is no-kill and open admission. We've got some really key staff that are ready to help set up operating procedures from day one on how to make this work effectively. And many of the 17 people on that page are also committed to working regular volunteer shifts at the kennel as well. In conclusion, I'd just like to say that I'm confident that we fully complied with the competitive sealed proposal process specified in Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 307.862. It was my first time taking a project through from beginning to end, the competitive sealed process. So I made sure multiple times throughout the process to check with Tom Eigel, who managed this process the last time, as well as the county prosecutor's office, to make sure we were doing everything correctly. And I'm very confident that we are fully compliant with that process. I also want to point out the recommended organization. They were professional, they were prepared, they had a positive attitude throughout this entire experience. The strong leadership team and the extensive partnership network that they have, I believe they'll be able to execute on the goals listed in their proposal. It's a very impressive team. I know some of their board members are here, so if there's any questions that you have that I cannot answer, hopefully some of them can.
Said they've already raised money for this facility. How much was that?
$100,000 from individual donors, plus they have a grant for the spay and neuter of 50 pit bulls. And I believe it also said another $3,000 grant for additional spay and neutering services.
You mentioned there are members of the board here.
Yes.
Could we ask them to stand and introduce themselves?
You have to. Would you like me to go ahead?
Sure.
My name is Cindy Unkenholt, and I am with Clermont Animal Care and Humane Society. I'm serving as the vice president. I have experience with a number of different rescues. I have fostered, I have adopted, I have walked, I have managed. Currently, I have, for the last 5 years, been with Save the Animals Foundation. It is a no-kill facility, but it's not a county shelter, and it's not open admission. So certainly, I'm looking to take things further, but I do have that experience in helping to manage a shelter. I am just part of our group. I'm one small part. We have people with experience in many different aspects of animal rescue and shelter. So we have a member on our team that is a registered veterinary technician. We also have people who are experienced in business and marketing and entrepreneurial, and also county shelters. So we are a coalition. We are purpose-built to take this mission on and be successful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We also have several of them.
So go ahead and introduce yourself. You don't need to be as, you can be, or you can choose not to be.
She introduced a lot of articulated. My name is Carolyn Evans. I'm a member of the Clermont Animal Care and Humane Society. I'm the executive director. I have experience in several organizations in the community. I was the former board president of United Coalition for Animals, which is the largest clinic in the area. I just celebrated 106,000 surgeries since we opened the doors. I was the board president at the time that we opened that clinic. Actually, I was the vice president. Carol was the president. And I'm also the board president of My Fur Balance, which is America's largest adoption event. We do about 1,000 surgeries, 1,000 adoptions every year on Valentine's Day.
Wow. Thank you.
Great.
My name is Robin Tackett. I am the president for Clermont Animal Care and Humane Society. I'm also involved in animal rescue. I started my own nonprofit for free spay neuter for pit bulls, which are the most overbred and most euthanized breed in the country. So we're hoping to extend that to the Clermont County area and focus on pit bulls in this area. I also foster for a pit bull rescue. And we're really excited to have this opportunity to make Clermont County the shining star of the state of Ohio.
Great.
Thank you.
I am not on the board, but I am on the advisory board. My name is Carol Sanger, and I was president of the League for Animal Welfare for the prior 3 years, and I'm on the board of the League for Animal Welfare, running its capital campaign right now, which is another topic. But I was one of the founders of UCAN, also one of the founders and past president of the Pets in Need, which is pet wellness, providing care for low-income residents so that they can keep their animals at home and not surrender them in shelters. I'm very proud to be affiliated with this group and to represent the League, and the League is a partner, a very active partner, will be with the Clermont Animal Care and Humane Society.
Last but not least, I'm Ray Compagna. I'm
Ray.
also with the organization. I'm the wife for myself. I'm all the wives in the area. I do a lot of the business development and all the back end work for Levies. So happy to be here.
Thank you.
I know this is always a very emotional thing because we all love our pets, and I think we strive to try to find good homes for those that are there and avoid at all costs the euthanizing of pets. So that's something that's always an issue, but still, Andy, I appreciate you and your team going through these bids and finding the one that I guess you've recommended here. So, okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposals submitted by the Clermont Animal Care Humane Society, and then to execute the operating agreement with the Board of County Commissioners in Clermont Animal Care Humane Society, effective calendar year 2018, with the contingencies as referenced in the add-on.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Yes. Good luck. Thank you for submitting your bid, and it's a nice overview here. Pretty impressive team. Okay. Next add-on. You want to read this, Suki?
Go ahead and do that. The next one is a recommendation to execute a joint defense agreement among the Clermont County Board of Commissioners and the Clermont County Sheriff's Office designated county defendants, and David Ubel, President of the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, in his individual capacity, designated Ubel, and collective designated joint defendants relative to the common interest and protection of privileged information and work product, as more fully defined therein, of the joint defendants in case number 117 CV 00677, filed in the United States District Court of the Southern District of Ohio, Eastern Division. This is a defense agreement that's necessary between the attorneys. We have Ernie Ramos here if you have any questions about it. That it's necessary to execute this in order to protect the information.
We get a motion then to execute the joint defense agreement as referenced in the add-on.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, abstain, sorry. Okay, we have need for executive session pursuant to 121.22G1 and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code. First, to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, and/or compensation of one or more public employees. Secondly, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation, respectively. Can we get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. We'll do that shortly. Okay. All right, we are back from executive session. No decisions were made or votes taken. And we do have an add-on. Is that correct, Suki?
Yes, we do have one add-on. It's a personnel action with the Water Resources Department. Mark Day, it's a disciplinary without pay effective 12/4/17.
Can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second. In the duration.
5 days.
Thank you.
I didn't hear the date, Suki, I'm sorry.
12/4 for 5 days.
Okay. Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. That's the only add-on, Suki?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are at the public participation portion of our meeting. And I believe we have a couple of people that are here.
You want to
Read the-
your little ditty, right?
We could, but during this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in debate. No member of the public may comment about a matter that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time. Each speaker will only speak once and shall be recognized by the board president before speaking. In accordance with the board's rules of procedure, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. So, anybody like to speak? Eva?
This will all be in past tense since you already gave the contract to the other group, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. My name is Eva Devon. I live in the Goshen area. I am president of Clermont to the Rescue and have had the joy of running the Clermont County Animal Shelter. I took over the animal shelter in 2015. Animals are very important to me. They cannot fend for themselves. I am proud of many accomplishments over the last 3 years. Chief among them is that we earned the designation of being a no-kill shelter by cutting the euthanasia rate. In 2014, the prior operators had euthanized about 3,000 animals. In 2016, we took that number down to 29. I was told it could not be done. The dramatic improvement was no accident. It took hard work and commitment. A selection process is ongoing on the future care with the two bidders, us and Clermont Animal Cares. I appreciate the value of a fair and well-run selection process. The process in 2014 in which we were selected included a 5-person committee drawn from different parts of Clermont County government. I'm deeply concerned about what is happening now. First, the committee made the decision itself as a concern. It is officially only 3 people. There is no depth or breadth, but even worse, the 3 people are a boss and 2 people who report to him. Andy Kuchta is on the committee with his employees, Adele Evans and Kelly Perry. It's a concerning situation in which members of the committee making an important decision are not independent. Add to that a 4th committee member, Holly Crowley, had to be removed for conflict of interest. She had a relationship with the other group. She's with them. Andy has also worked with Robin Lynn, the owner of the Slice of Stainless Steel. They've known each other for years, so that was conflict of interest. He should not have been on that committee. Mr. Kucha, finally, because Mr. Kucha has no experience in the process, he relied on Tom Eigel to serve as a consultant. Tom has a conflict with working with because he has worked with me. He should not be involved. It should be a level playing field for all with independent committee members. Second, the tactics being used in the process are a concern. To start, the other bidder includes a disgruntled volunteer who has used false claims against us and attempted to demonize us. One example has been the pictures of animals coming in claim they reflect the state of shelter and care for the animals. Another is the use of false claims with the press. Twice we had reporters to us, twice they found nothing. It should be a fair process for all without falsehood or malice. Steve Raybolt talked to the press about this problem. Finally, some strange things have happened in the process. The biggest is the other bidder was telling people in late October that they had already been selected and it was a done deal. That was before bids were even taken. This was done at a Halloween party at Pet Suites on State Route 50. So this was before a selection was even made. That speaks volumes to me of the lack of independence on the committee and falsehood spread as truth along the way. They also already came up to my volunteers wanting all but 3 of them. Why would you come to my volunteers and want them if you don't know if you have the contract yet? There's been a breakdown on too many fronts on this process, and even before 2017, the county has not participated in one single meeting with us after doing so in 2015 and 2016. The timely of our monthly meetings ending is curiously aligned to false reports being spread to the press through a disgruntled volunteer aligned to now removed committee member, Holly. So what am I asking? I'm asking for the process to be fair. The commitment should consist of independent members and be of reasonable size. The evaluation should be based on facts and not falsehood narratives shopped to the press. People with conflicts of interest should be truly uninvolved. It's very important for our county and for the animals. Thank you for letting me speak even after the decision. I appreciate it.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Go up to the podium, state your name. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Christopher Hicks. I live at 444 Woodward Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. I was last here on October 11th asking for answers around the FC Cincinnati tax and debt plot. I have 5 updates. First, Attorney General DeWine issued 4 opinions calling out the improper participation of county officials in the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. The one relating to Mr. Ubel stated that his entire participation in the CVB board was likely an improper interest in a contract since the CVB has a contractual relationship with the county. The CVB books and minutes need to be open to the public. You have the power of the purse to make that happen. Do it. Second, one improper contract seems clear. Jim Komodeka, a business associate of Mr. Ubel, was being paid consulting fees by the CVB while serving on the CVB board. He also received a lucrative fee deal as interim president that let him define his own responsibilities. Mr. Painter and Mr. Humphrey, emails show you were well aware of this backroom arrangement. Third, the CVB board is smaller and less diverse than ever. On October 17, Jeff Wright, the administrator of Miami Township, resigned from the CVB board. He was one of the names on the phony supporter list used to trick Representative Doug Green into adding the tax into the budget. Ken Geis, administrator for Union Township, never applied to the board, despite Mr. Ubel saying otherwise. Greg Holman, who you appointed over 2 months ago, is still not listed on the as a CVB board member on the website. Chuck Tilbury, who was improperly serving per the AG, is still on the CVB board. And predictably, not a single member of the travel and tourism industry is on the CVB board. Crony systems die hard. Fourth, I have reluctantly stated in public that Greg Simpson, a Port Authority board member, twice told me in some detail that Mr. Ubel was in the closed-door portion of the February 15, 2017 Port Authority board meeting where Ubel laid out the entire FC Cincinnati scheme. That is important because it shows Mr. Ubel was the backroom spokesman for the swamp plot. In a brazen lie, Ubel told the Enquirer in June of 2017 that he was not involved in the deal. It is also important because my asking Mr. Ubel about his participation in that closed-door portion of their meeting triggered his protection order against me, costing me time, reputation, and money. I regret that I was unable to get the other board members to clearly confirm or deny Mr. Ubel's participation. When I said I was going to come to their meeting and ask, they canceled the meeting. Enough is enough. Let's have the truth. Fifth, it has come to light that our prosecutor, Vince Ferris, allows his sons to practice criminal law before his staff. That is right. In Clermont, you can hire the prosecutor's son to defend you. 40 counties to date have told me they do not have that situation or anything close. It is a stunning conflict of interest, but remember, Mr. Ferris is the same prosecutor who asked the AG for the AG opinions on the county participation in the CVB out of an abundance of caution. He clearly has trouble avoiding and policing conflicts of interest. These are the new things since I last spoke on October 11th, 6 weeks ago. These cards are the 10 questions I asked then. They're all fair. They're all still unanswered. Why? It must be tiring to work so hard to evade being open and transparent. I'm going to leave these here when I finish. I think you should just answer them, but it would not surprise me if you asked one of your staff to throw them away. Last night, someone remarked to me that Mr. Ubel and you all had 1,000 opportunities to diffuse this and took none of them. About a month ago, in the Clermont Sun, Mr. Ubel described me, yet again, as delusional, but also referred to me as, quote, criticizing from his bedroom computer screen. Mr. Ubel, Mr. Ubel, Mr. Ubel. Okay, I am more than a little creeped out that you are talking in the press about my bedroom, a place you are certainly completely unwelcome. I don't have a computer there, but are citizens required to have their computers in specific rooms of their home to get an honest answer out of you? It is just more pathetic diversion. Gentlemen, this is much bigger than a hotel tax. It is about the character and principle of you, people elected to be servants. It always has been, and that is why I will be persistent. We deserve better than this. Thank you.
Okay, any other public participation? I don't think so. All right, then we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
All right.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes, thank you for coming. See you next week.